Okay, so in our last video, we talked about how to project records across entries. So go, push records over that are similar, just some gymnastics that we can do with the data. But what happens when some records are not available, or we need to see other examples of this person's penmanship? How do we look at this more like a book? I mean, you'll notice here, you see the person's thumb down here at the bottom and their hand. This is an actual book. You should be able to, page through this book. Well, it turns out you can. If I click on this right here, if I click on this reference image, what it's going to do is it's going to open it like it was a book. Now, you'll notice if you look here, there's no date here. There's nothing that indicate the date. And the reason I know that, in particular, is if I click on that button of looking at the instructions and I look at number 9 for the registration year, well, that date is right here. And if I go over to our indexing batch, there's no date here. So where is it? Is it just, do we just mark it as blank? Well, if you look at the batch and you go back in pages, so we go back in our pages, it's not here, but you'll notice the actual months are starting to go backwards, okay? You'll get to February, okay? And in February, he actually writes the date. It's 1922. And you could actually probably see it if I go back even one more. There you go, 1922. This is where January. So he is writing the date, but the author is saying, well, I'm not going to write the date for all of these because it's pretty obvious that you just page through the book and you'll find the actual date. So you can actually find the registration year. In this case, it's 1922, okay? So that's this feature here of being able to look at the reference images. This is also super useful if the penmanship is messed up. I use this a lot for really old records. If I'm going back in time, in the 16 and 1500s, those times had very different penmanship. And so being able to find a familiar name, but that uses the letter that doesn't look familiar, then it can kind of be an indicator of what that actual letter is and can help you in your batch. So that gives you some ideas on how to thumb through the page. A couple of other items on here that you can toy with. If you have a hard record to read, you can use this image adjustment feature. You can, for example, invert the image, and that'll allow you to maybe see where the ink isn't quite so obvious. You can also adjust the image and change the brightness level to get a little more brightness and contrast. So you can change a lot of things that can really kind of make the lettering pop out at you. And so you can see, you can notice even here where it looks like it might be even picking it up from the previous page, or maybe this was just a mistake, but you can see how it sort of changes in legibility just by modifying the contrast of the screen. Okay, so that gives you some ideas on how to identify the actual content itself in the book.